This is Chemistry 302, lecture number 17 on electrochemistry. As we begin this lecture, we jump off into an area that is, on a certain level, staggeringly different than anything we've looked at up until this point. And yet, on a certain level, it's actually coming home to this ability to bring together all these different kinds of concepts that we've looked at throughout the chemistry course up to this point. So, for example, the first half of Chemistry 301 was spent asking the question, where are the electrons? And we built these structures, these chemical structures, where we could actually come up with some sort of probability of where those electrons might happen to be. And it was at that point, because of simple kinds of Coulomb's law kinds of arguments about where the electrons were, that we began to understand a lot about chemical structure, physical properties, and even chemical reactivity. We then moved into what was basically a full semester's worth of material over the last half of the first semester and the first half of the second semester, in which we said, let's talk about energy flow. Let's talk about what drives a reaction happening or not. And it was all put in the context of this idea that somehow reactions and physical processes as they happened fell down an energy hill. And as they fell down this energy hill and you had this increase in free energy, stuff happened. Notice, though, that there was this disconnect that occurred, that this idea of where the electrons were and this idea of energy flow seemed to not have a whole lot to do with each other. What we're going to be talking about now with electrochemistry is, in fact, coming back home to this place where we marry these two kinds of ideas. We're going to draw potential energy hills here, and they're going to chart the course of a reaction. But now, as they chart the course of a reaction as it occurs, we're going to be looking at these things right here. We're going to be looking at the electrons, those very things that we talked about, wanting to know where they were in terms of how they drove chemical structure, how they drove physical properties. We're now going to look at them in a much more quantitative way as being the things that we measure falling down a hill. And so instead of measuring energy directly, we're going to measure it in the context of what exactly these electrons are doing.